In the chilly autumn of 1967, the crew of the USS Scorpion, a U.S. Navy nuclear-powered submarine, experienced a series of chilling incidents. This skipjack-class submarine, in the midst of weapons tests and type training, suffered an electrical fire in one of its escape hatches. As if that wasn't enough, the vessel also grappled with a freon leak in its refrigeration systems. These alarming incidents were not just mere accidents, but potential harbingers of the submarine's fate. The technical issues, particularly the electrical fire, were so severe that they imposed a depth limitation on the USS Scorpion. The vessel was restricted to a maximum depth of 500 feet as she set sail the following February, a significant limitation for a submarine designed to dive much deeper. In the spring of the following year, the Scorpion and her crew made an impromptu stop at Naval Station Rota in Spain. This was not a leisurely pit stop. 2 men were released due to pressing family and health-related concerns. It's worth noting that throughout the Cold War years, U.S. and Soviet vessels routinely observed one another, and this situation was no exception. As the Scorpion left Rota, she was under the watchful eyes of Soviet hunter-killer submarines. However, the USS Scorpion was not just a passive player in this high-stakes game of cat and mouse. She had her own mission: to observe Soviet activity in the Atlantic. After leaving Spain, the submarine successfully detected and surveilled a Soviet Echo-2 class submarine and an accompanying guided missile destroyer operating near the Azores. After completing this operation, the Scorpion set a course back to her home port of Norfolk. As the USS Scorpion sailed away from Spain, little did the crew know that this would be their last known location. The mysteries surrounding the USS Scorpion's departure and her subsequent silence continue to intrigue and confound us to this day. The chilling autumn of 1967 was indeed a prelude to a much greater mystery, one that remains unsolved over half a century later. The Cold War years were characterized by a tense and silent game of cat and mouse, with U.S. and Soviet vessels closely monitoring each other. The USS Scorpion, a symbol of American naval prowess, was no stranger to this high-stakes game. After departing from the Naval Station Rota in Spain, the Scorpion was tasked with observing the activities of the Soviet Navy in the Atlantic. This was a mission of utmost importance, a silent dance of power and paranoia, played out beneath the vast, unforgiving ocean. The Scorpion, despite her recent technical troubles, proved her worth in this mission. She successfully detected and surveilled a Soviet Echo-2 class submarine, a formidable foe lurking beneath the waves. But the Soviets were not alone. Accompanying the submarine was a guided missile destroyer, an imposing testament to the Soviet Union's military might. The Scorpion, undeterred by the formidable Soviet presence, performed her duty with the precision and skill expected of a U.S. Navy vessel. With her mission accomplished, the Scorpion set her course northbound towards the familiar waters of Norfolk. Yet beneath the surface, far from the prying eyes of the world, the Scorpion and her crew were alone. The vast expanse of the ocean, a silent and indifferent observer, was the only witness to their bravery. The Scorpion, a beacon of American resilience, carried her crew through the unforgiving depths, her hull echoing with the quiet hum of machinery and the hushed whispers of her crew. The USS Scorpion, having successfully completed its mission, began its journey back home, unaware of the fate that awaited. On May 20th, 1967, the U.S. Naval Communications Station in Greece received an unusual amount of radio traffic from the USS Scorpion. The Scorpion, a U.S. Navy skipjack-class nuclear-powered submarine, was in the middle of her mission in the Atlantic, monitoring Soviet activity. However, something was clearly awry. The submarine had been trying to establish contact with Naval Station Rota for over 24 hours, but to no avail. The messages they were sending were fragmented, filled with static, but the urgency in them was palpable. Each attempt at communication was a desperate plea, a silent cry for help that echoed in the vast expanses of the ocean. These desperate attempts were picked up by the U.S. Naval Communications Station at Niamacri, Greece, and quickly forwarded to the submarine force, Atlantic. Then, on May 21st, a final dispatch was received. In it, the Scorpion reported that she was in pursuit of a Soviet submarine and research group. The aim, according to the message, was to initiate surveillance of the Soviets. The significance of this dispatch was not lost on the Navy. The Scorpion was in the midst of the Cold War's silent underwater chess game. She was making her move, inching closer to the elusive king that was the Soviet submarine. But then, silence. The radio traffic abruptly ceased. The Greek communications station waited for more messages, but none came. The Scorpion had gone silent, her voice drowned out by the vast, unforgiving waters of the Atlantic. The U.S. Navy waited too for any sign, any hint of life from the Scorpion, but there was nothing. The once buzzing radio waves were now as silent as a grave. This final message would be the last contact the U.S. Navy would have with the USS Scorpion and her crew. The Scorpion, along with her crew, had vanished, swallowed up by the ocean's depths. Her last words, her last plea for help, still echoed in the silent halls of the communication station, a chilling reminder of the submarine that was lost to the depths of the Atlantic. The USS Scorpion failed to return to Norfolk by its expected arrival date, sparking concern and initiating a search effort. The American newspapers reported the delay, raising the alarm and speculations about the submarine's whereabouts. The submarine had been plagued by electrical issues the previous year, leading the Navy to fear that an onboard failure might have occurred. This prompted an immediate search, a desperate attempt to locate the missing vessel. But the initial efforts were met with disappointment. The vast blue ocean remained silent, offering no clues to the whereabouts of the Scorpion. The Navy refused to give up, and the search was expanded. Dr. John Craven, the chief scientist of the Navy's Special Projects Division, famous for his innovative scientific techniques to locate lost objects at sea, was brought in to lead the search team. His team of mathematicians and oceanographers scanned the sea, hoping to unearth the secrets it held. But the sea kept its secrets well. The Scorpion remained elusive, hidden in the ocean's depths. In early June, the Navy had to face the grim reality. The USS Scorpion was declared presumed lost, a somber acknowledgement of the submarine and her brave crew's fate. Despite the declaration, the search for answers continued. The Navy, the families of the crew, and the nation held on to hope, yearning for closure. But the Scorpion seemingly vanished, swallowed by the vast expanse of the ocean. To this day, the disappearance of the USS Scorpion remains one of the enduring mysteries of naval history, a submarine swallowed by the ocean, leaving behind only questions. The Scorpion's fate, like many of her Cold War contemporaries, is a chilling reminder of the dangers lurking in the deep, a testament to the bravery of those who venture into the unknown.